Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just enjoying the calm and relaxing surrounds of nature. I like to come out here when I get stressed out by the hustle and bustle of 21st century life.
What do you mean I missed the meeting?
I find that nature calms and relaxes me. And then I feel like everything's gonna be okay. But I'm not the only one to be relaxed by nature. In fact, the interaction of humans and nature and the effect on our well-being has been a hot topic of research since at least the 1990s. Ulrich et al. In 1991 and Hansman et al. In 2007 more recently both found that contact in nature reduced levels of stress and headaches in their study participants. Burnham et al. In 2007 found that contact in nature reduced anxiety and depression. Berto, 2005, found contact in nature restored ability to pay attention to tasks. Francis et al. In 2012 found a greater sense of community was achieved through contact in nature and common nature areas. And Kinefik et al. In 2014 found decreased sedentary behavior and increased energy associated with nature areas. Brown, 1992, noted improved well-being of elderly people exposed to nature. I mean, even mental health organizations such as Beyond Blue advocate the importance of nature for mental well-being. I mean, all this research is showing us what we instinctively know. Spending time in nature is good for us. And if you're running a business, that means it's good for your clients. So this is why in 2014 I was asked to research and design a nature area for a retirement village out in Glenfield, southwest Sydney. The aim of the study was to examine the current state of ecology in the Cumberland Plain woodland and to produce feasible options for a nature area with ecological, social, and economic significance. In the 21st century, many businesses have been transitioning to a green identity. Not only is this a selling point, but in a study by Kirkwood and Walton in 2014, they actually found that this can reduce waste and create savings through other sustainable practices. This also has financial benefits. In the case of the retirement village I was working with out in southwest Sydney, a creation of a nature area would represent a flagship green project that would differentiate this company from their competitors. In fact, a study by Brown in 1992 and by Corpella in 2003 both showed that people show a preference for forested areas as opposed to urban ones, which strongly suggests that people would be more likely to select a retirement village with a nature area as opposed to less attractive competitors. So we've covered the economic and social benefits of a nature area, but what about the ecological ones? The retirement village that commissioned the research in southwest Sydney, ecologically speaking, they're located in what was historically Cumberland Plain woodland. And this is now an endangered ecological community. The majority of it was mown down and destroyed to make room for farms, mainly farms, some houses, because the soil was particularly fertile. And that's actually led to a huge destruction in the Cumberland Plain woodland. There's only now 10% remaining. That's scary. So in one project, we had a fantastic opportunity to regenerate a section of this critically endangered Cumberland Plain woodland, to create a nature area that would produce health benefits for clients of this retirement village and improve their well-being, and to differentiate this particular choice of retirement village from other less attractive competitors, thus producing an economic advantage in the market. So we know that a nature area would have all these benefits, but how does one go about researching and designing such an area? And there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do this. Different people do it different ways. My approach was to begin by first taking stock of what already lives in the current proposed area of which this regeneration activities would take place. I began by doing a biodiversity survey of both animals and plants. Animals, that just involved standing in the area for half an hour. The technique was thus. Get the camera. Write what I see. And again. Camera. Write what I see. Did that for half an hour. And that covered pretty much most of the birds. Such as the majestic white-faced heron, the acrobatic welcome swallow, the multichromatic eastern rosella, and the monogamous pink galah. So that was the animals done. As for the plants, they took a lot longer. I just circled the entire area, walking around, looking at every plant. If I knew it, I wrote it down. Such as this Grevillea linearifolia here. So if you didn't know the species, you could probably at least get it to Grevillea. If you didn't know that, you could at least get it to Proteaceae because of the characteristic flowers here with the anthers coming up on the sides there, holding the pollen grains in the end, and then you've got the stigma coming up the middle here. Learn your plant families before you try this, kids. If you don't know the species, you can take a specimen, preferably with flowers or fruits on it, such as the case here. We've got some gorgeous flowers in there. And you just break a little bit off. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to hurt this little guy. But you would break a little bit off and then press it between two bits of newspaper. Put it in your highly technical piece of equipment known as 2 planks of wood. And there you go, you've got a pressed specimen. You can take that to the herbarium in Sydney. You can take that to the herbarium at Macquarie Uni. You can find someone who can help you identify that down to species. You should also take a note of where your weed species are and plot them on a map. Any weed species that might interfere with the growth, germination of native plants that you're trying to regenerate your nature area with. Such as this lantana over here. I know that smell anywhere. Ah! I can smell you from a mile away. Take a note of any other unique aspects of your site. These might be helps or hindrances. For example, when I was conducting the study in southwest Sydney, there was a huge area that had been affected by salt intrusion. And all the native species around that area were dying. So in the next phase, when you're researching what species you want to plant in, not only would you ideally want them to be characteristic of the ecology of the area that you're working with, so that these are the species that have evolved to live in these particular soil conditions and climate types, and they should go well in that area, but also you know, if you've got a salt-affected area, for example, you'll want to plant salt-tolerant species. And you'll want to keep your old trees. They often contain holes, openings, that can provide important habitats for your birds. Such as this sulphur-crested cockatoo up here. See, it's sticking its head into the hole. And you can set out your planning in terms of 3 layers as sort of a conceptual basis to think of it. You've got your ground cover, be the grass. You've got your shrub layer. And your canopy layer. And the idea of setting up plants in this way, in the words of Earwing 2009, if it's set up right, the plants should do the work. And be sure to build in a monitoring plan as well. In case something goes drastically wrong, you want to pick it up before it becomes an issue. Or if you want to change your protocols, you can build in the process of adaptive management, in the words of Moore and Hawkins 2014, so that you can change your plan as the project progresses. Find as many sources of funding as possible. My favourite source of funding that I found was a land care grant to conduct a National Tree Day event on site. And I love this one because it's a chance to get funding for trees, but also host a community event, brings people in from all around the community, unites them with a common purpose, and allows them to experience the joy of being part of a project of restoring a nature area. So last thing you might want to think about is your placement of boardwalks or walkways in your new nature area. And what I did was I just followed the lines of the most gradual changes in elevation, I guess, the least steep areas of the land. And this is especially important when working with elderly clients, as in the case of a retirement village who I conducted the study for. A project like this can add real value to a business, to the environment, and to community health. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and give it a go.
Turkey!